We haven't had any big neo-prog releases this year, so I'm always on the lookout for anything new within the neo-prog sphere. And we've got something good. Let's dive into it. Redemption by Mystery. So, Mystery is a Canadian, Quebec, neo-prog band, getting their start in the mid to late 80s as a good neo-prog band should. It's getting their first debut album of Theater of the Mind released in 1996, putting out a number of albums throughout the decades, with kind of mixed success, I would say. They weren't necessarily on anybody's top of the radar when it came to the neo-prog sphere, but they would constantly put out, pretty stellar records. Among the Living in 2010 was really good. The World is a Game from 2012 was just mwah, loved it. Disillusion Rain and Lies and Butterflies from 2015, 2018 respectively were really good, really fun. And now we come into Redemption. And this album is another Mystery album. That's all I can really say about this record. It's another good Mystery record. If I'm being perfectly honest, it's a little on the long side at 1 hour and 14 minutes. They probably could have shaved off a couple of tracks on here and not lost a whole lot. What makes Mystery is the combined effort, the combined forces of Jean Peugeot, I believe is how you pronounce it, on the vocals. His vocals on this album sound pristine. They sound amazing on this. This is why I come to this record, and there's a lot of notes on here that I am just loving a lot of that. I love the two keyboardists of Anthony Mouchard and Francois Fortuner. Both of these keyboardists have a lot of fun on this. I'm loving the kind of back and forth. And Francois on the bass as well as the keyboards does a great job of providing that rhythm and atmosphere that Mystery likes to command. Drumming by Jean-Sébastien Gauthier, still great stuff. And then the dual keyboards of Sylvain Montier and Michel St. Pierre, great stuff. Love his keyboards and guitars. Man, the amount of keyboards that are found on here, the amount of that synthwave stuff, it provides the best part of the neo-prog stuff for me. And the individual tracks on here are pretty good. The opening one of Behind the Mirror has this really big and powerful lick, which they really utilize, like that I'm loving it. It's so meaty, it's so juicy. It's got that hook that I love. And that's one of the things I love about neo-prog. They are able to create those big hooky moments that hook you in and just aren't able to let go of you. And when we come into the title track, the second track of Redemption, that is when we're getting into that melodramatic cheese that I love, it's commanding the immortal side from Arena, or that Ever Essence from IQ. This is like the golden age of that neo-prog. It's operatic, it's melodramatic, and I love that. It's got this weight to it. It's very theatrical. It's, as I mentioned, it's very melodramatic, and this is the reason why I love this neo-prog aspects. Then we come into the first kind of mini epic of the album, The Beauty and the Least, and I love this. I love the playing styles of this. I love how each member is able to take the center stage and take the command of the track whenever they need to. It's pumping, it's oomph, and I love how they're able to segue between big, meaty hooks and then really fun, jazzy play styles. The jam sessions that these guys love to play into. And that's the other style and essence that I love from neo-prog. It's those jam sessions, the trading off of guitars and keyboards and guitars trading off both center stage and the backstage. Unfortunately, we come into probably the weaker side of the album with Every Note, the fourth track. I'm just not all that here for it. It's 6 minutes on the nose, and I'm just not really jiving with it. They're not playing it out. They're not building it up. For me, there's not a whole lot of reason for it to be there. But then we come into the second longest track of Pearls and Fires. And once again, this is where we have a lot of that ebb and flow, a lot of build-ups and payoffs that I really like within this band. And it's very interesting. I love the build-ups. I love the payoffs. And again, when I say I love the build-ups, I love how they're able to just hunker themselves down into this root of a particular track and really take their time at building it up to this big crescendo of track like music, and then slowly taper off and try something else and something different. I just wish that that big play out at the end, that big oomph that they give it, had a little bit more weight to it, because I do feel as though they're capping themselves at the knees by not providing that big grandiose play style or center stage that this kind of a track begs for. It's still great, and I still love that big sound that they have. I just wish it was just a little bit more. The same can kind of be said about my inspiration. I feel as though the inspiration, it starts off very lackluster, and I almost tune out at the beginning of this track. You know, it's 8 minutes and 23 seconds, and I keep thinking to myself, I'm not really here for this kind of ballady, especially after Pearl and Fire, but this song does eventually turn into something very fun and very interesting. And the same can also be said about Homecoming. I do think, though, because by the time I get into Homecoming, I'm starting to tap out. And I do think that if they took every note, my inspiration in Homecoming, and took what really made these tracks work and kind of conglomerate them into one track that's maybe about 10 minutes long, we would have had something really, really special on our hands. As they are sitting on this album, I don't know, I feel like both My Inspiration and Homecoming take their time at building themselves up, and it does provide a very satisfying payoff. But when they're two back-to-back, I would have chosen one of them and kept one on the album and put the other one on the cutting room floor, or maybe even put it on like a bonus disc or something like that. That's kind of where I'm at for this. And then we come into the big epic, the 19-minute and 10-second track of Is This How the Story Ends? And this is why I come to Neo-Prog. The big 20-minute-ish tracks that really hammer things home. And once again, we have all the staples that I love for a big, meaty epic on the Neo-Prog scale. Opens up with this big pop and circumstance. We get into the main groove of the track. They're laying things down that will be reincorporated later on. I love the big playing styles, the different ebbs and flows of this. But it does kind of follow suit with the rest of the tracks that we've had before. And my big kind of, little sticking point is like I was really wishing for this big, meaty play out. And we just kind of have this kind of soft ballady kind of pump up the jam at the end that is good, it's serviceable, but it doesn't really keep me coming back for more. It gets me really jazzed and really fun in the moment, and I'm really having a good time. But then once the album finishes, I'm like, okay, that was fun. I had some really good times. Now I need to find, the next flavor of the moment. It's still really good, and I think this is a great addition to the mystery kind of landscape. I don't know if it's quite on the same level as The World is a Game or One Among the Living, which is more of my favorite aspects of it. This is kind of like it would fit very well within Lies and Butterflies and Disillusion Reigned, and both of those, again, stand out solid records. It was just that meaty aspect from One Among the Living and The World is a Game. Yeah, those two were kind of the big standouts. Anyway, we're talking about Redemption. And I will say, as my final rating for this album, Redemption by Mystery is one that I would absolutely download. This is one to have on your computer. This is one to have on the go. But I don't know. It's not one that I would definitely return to right away. I do wonder how this album is going to mature throughout the year, because I do find with a lot of mystery elements and a lot of mystery albums, if I put it on the shelf for a little bit, kind of, go off and do my own thing and then come back and listen to it, it surprises me with how much I enjoy it, the second or third visit. Maybe not the second or third sit down and listen, but, second or third put down on the shelf, come back and revisit. So, yeah, for the first big Neo-Prog, album of the year, I think this is great, and I think you would have a good time with it too. If you love Neo-Prog, you should give it a spin. If you've been humming and hawing over the Neo-Prog genre, I don't think this is going to win you over, but I would still recommend giving it a try. Maybe this is the one that will tip the fences. But yeah, that's what I've got for Redemption from Mystery. What did you guys think about this record? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Whatever you thought, please let me know by commenting down below. Because that's all I got for you guys today. That's all I've got. So thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.